One of the most tragic character arcs in Top Boy belongs to Jamie, because Jamie isn't just another stereotypical drug dealer. He's a protector, a provider, a brother, and at the exact same time, a ruthless killer capable of terrifying violence. That contrast is what makes Jamie's psychology so interesting. One moment he's nurturing and caring toward his younger brothers, and the next moment he's willing to brutally destroy anyone standing in his way. So the real question becomes, is Jamie naturally cold-blooded? Or did life force him into becoming that version of himself? This is the dark psychology of Jamie. Imagine being 18 years old and suddenly losing both of your parents within days of each other. Your father dies from cancer on Sunday, your mother dies on Tuesday, and overnight you become responsible for raising two younger brothers completely alone. That's exactly what happened to Jamie. Before everything collapsed, Jamie's life was relatively normal. The family wasn't rich, but there was still love, structure, and emotional security inside the household. Then suddenly, everything disappeared. Psychologically, losing both parents at such a young age can completely alter someone's emotional development and sense of identity. Because Jamie didn't just lose his parents, he lost the ability to remain a child himself. Instantly, he was forced into survival mode. Now he had to become the provider, protector, and authority figure for Aaron and Steph, while still barely an adult himself. And in an environment like East London, surrounded by poverty, violence, gangs, and fast money, the streets naturally become attractive for someone desperate to survive and provide. The show never fully confirms whether Jamie was already involved in crime before his parents died or whether the tragedy pushed him toward it afterward. But either way, the result becomes the same. Jamie adapts to the streets because he believes survival depends on it. And by the time Top Boy fully introduces him, we see a completely transformed version of that young boy. 4 years later, Jamie is now deeply involved in gang life and leading the ZTs. But what makes his character so psychologically layered is the constant contrast between his two identities. With his gang, Jamie is cold, aggressive, and strategic. For example, when the Turkish suppliers increase their prices, Jamie decides to find a new plug, and instead of simply leaving peacefully, he murders the Turks entirely. And that's the first murder we see Jamie commit directly, and it immediately establishes something important psychologically. Jamie is fully willing to kill for power, money, and control when necessary. But then the show immediately shifts back to his life at home with Aaron and Steph. And suddenly we see a completely different side of him. This is where Jamie becomes difficult to categorize psychologically. Because despite everything he does in the streets, he genuinely loves his brothers deeply. He cooks for them, protects them, guides them, constantly tries preventing them from becoming like him. Jamie expresses love through provision and protection. That's how he understands masculinity psychologically. To him, love means making sacrifices and handling dangers so the people you care about don't have to. And interestingly, this exact same mindset appears in both parts of his life. When Modi, the former ZT leader, gets sentenced to prison, Jamie immediately steps into leadership because he believes responsibility naturally belongs to him. That mirrors what happened after his parents died. In both situations, Jamie responds to chaos the same way. Step up, take control, protect everyone. But the streets twist that protective instinct into something violent. One major example is what happens after Jamie goes out with a girl named Tilly. After she gets caught in a shooting meant for Jamie and ends up hospitalized, Jamie immediately retaliates against the rival gang member responsible. At first, he only attacks him physically, but later, when Jamie catches him again, he kidnaps him and beats him to death. And psychologically, this moment reveals something important. Watch. Jamie's violence is often emotionally tied to protection and retaliation rather than random cruelty. It doesn't justify what he does, but it explains why Jamie sees violence differently from normal people. In his mind, brutality becomes necessary to maintain safety, respect, and survival. And over time, The streets slowly condition him to believe that extreme violence is simply part of protecting the people he loves. At this point in the story, Jamie is fully established as someone willing to become violent if it means protecting his position and the people he loves. But the real psychological test begins when Duchesne returns, because Duchesne isn't just another dealer. He's a respected name, a proven killer, a man with history and power behind him. Despite knowing exactly who Duchesne is and what he's capable of, Jamie still confronts him directly and makes it clear that he's the one running things now. That moment raises an interesting psychological question. Is Jamie truly fearless? Or is he performing confidence because he believes weakness would destroy him? Personally, I think Jamie created a version of himself that he felt he needed to survive. Because when we look at how he treats Aaron and Steph, it becomes obvious Jamie does not glorify the streets internally. He constantly pushes education onto them, makes sure Steph attends school, praises Aaron for succeeding at university. That behavior reveals something important. Jamie understands the streets are destructive, but at the same time, he believes the streets are the only realistic way for him to provide financially. And psychologically, this creates cognitive dissonance inside him constantly. Jamie likely knows murder and violence are wrong morally, yet he continues committing violent acts anyway. So how does he mentally justify it? Through protection and survival. His brothers become the justification for everything. Every crime, every violent act, every dangerous decision. In Jamie's mind, if the outcome helps Aaron and Steph survive or succeed, then the brutality becomes acceptable. And honestly, this is why Jamie's psychology feels so human compared to other gang leaders. He doesn't seem naturally evil. He seems emotionally trapped between morality and survival. Another interesting thing about Jamie is the idea of reinvention. A lot of people reinvent themselves when entering completely new environments. University is a perfect example. Nobody knows who you were before, so people create new identities, stronger identities, more confident identities. And I think Jamie did something similar psychologically in the streets, not because he was weak necessarily, but because he understood dominance equals survival in that world. So he built this assertive, fearless persona deliberately. He removes Modi from power, forces himself into leadership, acts dominant constantly, because the streets reward confidence and punish vulnerability immediately. But eventually, this pressure escalates into full war. Jamie orders acid attacks and stabbings against Summer House affiliates to prove the ZTs are serious. Then Leighton disobeys orders and shoots Sully, escalating everything beyond control. Now Jamie is responsible not only for money and business, but for leading young men into violence and possible death. And what makes Jamie psychologically fascinating is that even during all of this chaos, he still returns home, acting like a father figure. One scene shows him involved in gang warfare. The next scene shows him attending Steph's school meetings and giving Aaron relationship advice. That contrast is insane psychologically, because it shows Jamie genuinely believes he can separate his two identities. Street leader outside, protective brother at home. But eventually, those two worlds begin colliding. And that's the real tragedy of Jamie's story. While Jamie is distracted fighting Duchesne and protecting business interests, Steph begins getting into trouble without him there. For the first time, Jamie loses control over the very thing he entered the streets to protect, his family. And psychologically, this destroys him internally, because now his original justification begins collapsing. He entered the streets to protect Aaron and Steph, but the streets are now traumatizing Aaron and Steph instead. That contradiction becomes unavoidable after ATS hides weapons and drugs inside Aaron's room, leading to both brothers being arrested publicly and violently. And when Jamie finds out what happened, we finally see the mask crack. He breaks down crying on a park bench while Kit comforts him. And the street persona. Because Jamie almost never allows himself emotional vulnerability publicly. Not with gang members, not with rivals, not with enemies. Only with Kit, and even the location matters psychologically. The bench he sits on is the same place where he and his brothers remembered their parents after they died. So subconsciously, Jamie returns to the place connected to his original identity, before the streets consumed him. Feels like guilt finally catches up to him emotionally. Almost as if he realizes he's becoming the exact thing his parents would never have wanted for him. For the first time in the series, Jamie no longer looks like a fearless gang leader. He looks like a grieving older brother, carrying too much responsibility for too many years. After prison, Jamie's entire mindset begins shifting, for his priorities were power, territory, and becoming the top boy. Now, his focus becomes survival and protecting his brothers at all costs. But the problem is that freedom came with a price. Jamie didn't get out of prison because of luck or mercy. Duchesne owned him now. The agreement was simple. Work for Duchesne, follow orders, or face deadly consequences. And psychologically, this is one of the most humiliating positions Jamie could possibly be in. Because Jamie spent years building an identity around leadership and dominance. Now he's forced to work under the very man he went to war against. But despite how painful that is to his pride, Jamie accepts it rationally. When talking to Kit, he makes it clear he's willing to swallow his ego temporarily if it means winning long-term and keeping Aaron and Steph safe. That moment reveals one of Jamie's biggest strengths psychologically. He's adaptable. Unlike emotional people who self-destruct because of pride, Jamie understands survival sometimes requires sacrifice. But at the same time, prison changed his relationship with Steph completely.
When Jamie finally comes home, he expects warmth, excitement, and love from his younger brother. Instead, Steph feels cold toward him, and psychologically, I think Steph developed attachment issues after Jamie disappeared. Before prison, Steph constantly craved Jamie's attention and affection. He wanted Jamie around all the time because after losing both parents so young, Jamie became more than just a brother emotionally. Jamie became safety, security, structure, attachment. But once Jamie abandoned home to fight Duchesne and then disappeared into prison for 6 months, that attachment bond became damaged, and now Steph protects himself emotionally by becoming distant. Jamie notices it immediately, but despite the emotional distance, Jamie still continues trying to parent him. He teaches Steph about forgiveness, morality, and becoming a good man because deep down, Jamie still desperately wants his brothers to avoid becoming like him. And this is what makes Jamie tragic psychologically. He's trying to raise good people while surviving inside an evil environment himself. Duchesne eventually sends Jamie to Morocco to handle problems with the plug, and this storyline reveals the clearest glimpse of who Jamie truly is underneath the street persona. Away from London, away from gang politics, away from reputation. Jamie meets a homeless Moroccan boy trying to sell him lollipops. At first, Jamie brushes him off, But eventually, he starts talking to him, sympathizing with him, and genuinely trying to help improve the boy's situation.
He gives him money, talks to him kindly, even gives him his watch so the boy can use it as currency to reunite with his family. And psychologically, this scene is incredibly important, because Jamie has absolutely nothing to gain from helping this child. No reputation, no money, no power, meaning this compassion appears genuine, which strongly supports the idea that Jamie is not naturally evil. He's a good-hearted person trapped inside a violent lifestyle. But unfortunately, Jamie's ambition and desire for power never fully disappear either. While in Morocco, he secretly goes behind Duchesne's back to secure future business connections with Juan. And this becomes the mistake that seals his fate, because when Sully arrives and kills Juan over pricing issues, Jamie's betrayal becomes exposed immediately. Now, Sully completely loses whatever little trust he had left in Jamie. And psychologically, Jamie once again proves unable to fully let go of his desire for independence and power. Even after prison, even after trauma, even after almost losing everything, part of Jamie still wants control. Back in London, things continue collapsing emotionally. Aaron grows resentful because Jamie leaves parental responsibilities on him without explanation. Steph keeps drifting emotionally further away. And then Jamie discovers something that completely breaks him internally. Kit was involved in ATS's death. This creates one of the hardest psychological dilemmas in the entire series. Because Kit is Jamie's closest friend, his most loyal ally, practically family. But Duchesne orders Jamie to handle the situation. At first, Jamie chooses loyalty. He warns Kit, plans escape routes, considers running away with Aaron and Steph entirely. But then reality hits him psychologically if he runs. His brothers lose stability forever, their education collapses, their lives become chaos, and they may end up hating him permanently. So Jamie faces an impossible choice: destroy his best friend's life, destroy his brother's future. And ultimately, Jamie kills Kit. Not because he wants to, not because he lacks emotion, but because, psychologically, Jamie will always sacrifice himself emotionally if it means protecting Aaron and Steph. That's the tragedy of his character. Every horrible thing Jamie does, he convinces himself it's necessary for family. And after Kit's death, Duchesne finally begins trusting Jamie fully. Aaron graduates. The family stabilizes. Jamie's relationship with his brothers slowly improves again, for the first time in a long while. It feels like Jamie might actually escape the chaos. And then suddenly, Sully kills him. No warning. No dramatic buildup. Just death. And honestly, that ending perfectly captures the reality of the streets, psychologically. No matter how much Jamie tried balancing morality with violence, the streets eventually consumed him anyway. One of the most overlooked parts of Jamie's psychology is his desire for genuine emotional connection. And that's exactly why his relationship with Lizzie matters so much. Because normally characters involved in violent criminal lifestyles are portrayed as emotionally detached people who only care about quick pleasure, power, or control. But Jamie doesn't behave like that. After sleeping with Lizzie, he doesn't immediately distance himself emotionally or treat her like she's disposable. Instead, he tries building a real connection. He wants conversation, comfort, a sense of belonging. And psychologically, that says a lot, because it suggests Jamie is emotionally starving underneath the gangster persona. In Lizzie, he sees someone he can potentially lower the mask around. Someone older, experienced, and emotionally distant enough to understand the world he lives in. But Lizzie rejects that emotional vulnerability. And honestly, that rejection subtly reinforces the loneliness Jamie constantly carries throughout the series. Because despite all the respect and fear he receives in the streets, Jamie rarely feels emotionally understood. And once you strip away the street image completely, there's actually something deeply human about him. Modern media constantly glorifies emotionally cold men. Men who never care, never feel vulnerable, never need connection. But Jamie proves the opposite. His emotional depth is what makes his story tragic. Everything he does revolves around love and responsibility, especially his promise to his parents that he would protect Aaron and Steph. That promise defines almost every decision he makes psychologically. Another major example of Jamie's real personality is his relationship with the Moroccan boy, because again, Jamie gains absolutely nothing from helping him. No money, no reputation, no strategic advantage. yet he still sympathizes with the child deeply after realizing how difficult his life truly is. At first, the boy is just trying to hustle Jamie for money, selling lollipops. But after Jamie sees where the boy actually lives and understands his struggles, his entire tone changes emotionally. He becomes softer, more compassionate, more understanding. And eventually, Jamie helps the boy achieve his dream of reaching Spain to reunite with family by giving away his watch as payment for transport. That scene reveals the real Jamie underneath everything else. Not the gang leader, not the killer. Just a young man who understands struggle and doesn't want other people suffering the way he did. And that's exactly why Jamie's psychology becomes so difficult to categorize. Because despite all his empathy and compassion, he's still responsible for multiple murders. Now, those murders cannot simply be ignored. The Turks, Cam, Jamal, Kit, every one of them died because of Jamie's choices. But psychologically, Jamie never kills for enjoyment or sadistic pleasure. In his mind, every murder becomes tied to protection. He kills the Turks to stop retaliation against the ZTS. He kills Cam after Tilly nearly dies. He kills Jamal because Sully's people are hunting him. And the hardest one psychologically, he kills Kit to save Aaron and Steph from having their lives destroyed. Again, morally, none of these murders become acceptable. But Jamie's justification system is important psychologically because it separates him from truly psychopathic characters. Jamie doesn't murder because he enjoys dominance or violence. He murders because he believes survival and protection demanded. And honestly, this is where ATS storyline becomes incredibly important, because ATS is essentially a reflection of what Jamie probably once was. Smart, innocent kid trying to help his struggling family financially. At first, ATS sells burgers trying to support his mother. But eventually he realizes legitimate money won't be enough to solve their problems. So he enters the streets. Once he enters that environment, the crimes escalate slowly, till eventually the streets consume him completely and lead to his death at only 14 years old. Psychologically, Jamie's story likely followed a similar path, not someone born evil, but someone who slowly adapted to a brutal environment because survival demanded it. And that's why Jamie's story feels so tragic compared to other gangsters in Top Boy. Because deep down, Jamie never fully loses his humanity. He remains compassionate, protective, emotionally vulnerable. But the environment around him constantly forces those qualities to coexist with violence and crime. In the end, that contradiction destroys him. Personally, I don't think Jamie is a psychopath. I don't think he's truly a sociopath either. Honestly, I don't even think he's narcissistic. Because everything he does, even the worst things, comes back to family, love, responsibility, and survival. But if Jamie existed in real life, most criminal psychologists probably wouldn't see all of that emotional complexity. They'd only see the murders, the violence, the gang activity, and they'd label him dangerous immediately. But as viewers, we get to see something deeper, a multidimensional person trying to survive impossible circumstances while slowly losing himself in the process. And that's exactly why Jamie remains one of the most tragic characters in Top Boy. The end.